Welcome to Everything Fear. Today I'm going to be looking at my top 5 horror films of the year 1983. Hello and welcome to Everything Fear, your one-stop shop for all things horror. I'm Kit Tinsley, I'm a horror author, film academic and general horror geek. If you enjoy this video, if you could please subscribe, give us a like and maybe tickle that bell icon to be notified of future content, that would be great, thank you. Today we have episode 6 in our series, A Life in Horror. In this series, I look at my personal top 5 favourite horror movies of every year that I've been alive. So, this year, the year that I started school, I believe, 1983. Number 5, The Keep. As I've said before, I have a soft spot for horror films set during the war. I think it's because they serve as a great allegory for the horrors of war that perhaps we sometimes forget in the war films that glorify war. This is a very early movie from director Michael Mann, and it centres on a group of Nazi soldiers who are sent to guard a fortress. Whilst there, they inadvertently release an ancient evil that threatens to destroy everything. It's a dramatically flawed but visually stunning film, with great performances from Scott Glenn, Ian McKellen, Gabriel Byrne and Jürgen Prochnow. Though not a masterpiece, it's definitely a film that's worth watching for its visuals, its ideas and its atmosphere. Number 4, The Hunger. Basically a love triangle between an ancient vampire, her lover slash food source, and a doctor who's researching the effect of blood on premature aging. Story-wise, quite a simple film, but this one is elevated by its ethereal cinematography and tone. It also features great performances from its central trio. Catherine Deneuve as the vampire, David Bowie as her lover slash food source, and Susan Sarandon as the doctor. It's a very sensual film that really pushes the eroticism of vampirism. On a personal note, the film also stars British actor James Aubrey. James played the lead in the 1960s version of The Lord of the Flies, as well as starring in the TV show A Bouquet of Barbed Wire. Jimmy, as he was known, was an outstanding actor and just a wonderful guy who I had the pleasure of working with and befriending in the last few years of his life. And by all of us that knew him, he is sadly missed. Number 3, Extro. This ultra-low budget British sci-fi horror movie, clearly funded in the wake of the success of Alien, is one of the most wonderfully weird movies you will ever watch. The main plot focuses on a man named Sam, who was born as the result of an extraterrestrial rape. And it also focuses on his wife and his son, Tony. Sam gets abducted by aliens and disappears for 3 years, and when he returns, he's changed and he begins to terrify his son. I say the main plot because there are just so many things going on in this movie that the plot is actually quite disjointed. However, the bizarre direction, the eerie synth score, surreal imagery and gory special effects make this a interesting and much loved cult classic. Number 2, Cujo. This adaptation of the Stephen King novel of the same name is a taut and well-paced movie. The story of a lovable Saint Bernard called Cujo, who unfortunately goes mad after contracting rabies and goes on a murderous rampage. You really do feel sorry for this dog in this movie, as well as being utterly terrified of it. After an initial setup, the majority of this film focuses on a young mother and her young son trapped in a car with the ravenous, rabid beast outside. The sweltering heat and the claustrophobia of the car come across so well, along with an outstanding performance from Dee Wallace as the mother. Wonderful performance. Number 1, Christine. On paper, a killer car movie always sounds tacky and awful to me. When said killer car movie is based on a novel by the most successful horror author on the planet, Stephen King, and directed by master of suspense, John Carpenter, what happens is a masterpiece. It's the story of a car that has been cursed since it was made, being bought by an awkward and unpopular teenager, and the symbiotic relationship that develops between boy and car, and how the car seems to corrupt the young man whilst giving him everything he desires. This movie is shot beautifully, it's well acted, and the scene where the car repairs itself is just a work of art. On the surface, a suspenseful and exciting horror movie, but on a deeper level, perhaps a comment on society's over-reliance on the automobile, on cars, and the unhealthy relationships that some people do develop with cars. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Those were my personal top 5 movies of the year 1983. What were your favourites of 1983? Let me know in the comments. And until next time, stay scared.